drop the clutch, hit the gas. Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio.
Yeah.
The world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to plane. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tools. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I Shawn, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.
Where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Boop, 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 boop. What's going on, everybody? You already know what it is, man. It's the bearded one here. You know what it is, man. Shout out to everybody tuned in, paying attention. You know how we get down, man. Today is the day, and we asking. I know you seen it. I know you heard about it. We talked about it before. July 25th, it was coming out, and now we've seen it. And if for those that haven't seen it, you've most likely seen the thumbnail, which is why you clicked on the vid. Shout out to everybody who tuned in, paying attention. Shout out to my guy, Darth Spalding, in the building early. You already know what it is. We are asking today the 2025 Corvette ZR1, the last of them. And when I say that, I mean that. The last of them. I don't even know how Chevy convinced everybody's going to come out with this. But definitely something we're going to get into today, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We rocking here today, man. It's been one heck of a morning. Beautiful outside. Got some bad news, though, earlier today. Shout out to my homeboy, Joe, man. Hope everything turns out well for him, man. Thievery, bro. People are out here stealing once again. Shout out to my guy, Darth Spalding. He said 1064 HP, a.k.a. Purse. Yes. It's looking crazy out here. Shout out to everybody tuned in, paying attention. My guy, Joe, man. We thinking about you, man. We're going to be out on the street looking. Look, there's one thing we can't stand is thievery. I can't stand thievery. Thievery makes me sick because they be around you, watching you, listening to you, plotting on you, and then out of nowhere now, they got you. And you're just trying to figure out, like, damn, when were they paying attention to me? What was they doing? They've been watching you, man. That's why I say protect your cars at all costs, man. Thievery is the cancer of the car community, man. I'm telling you. There's places I don't even go because I'm like, you know what, man? Cats will just be watching you for no reason, man. Or this time just got to deal with it straight up. But it just sucks, man. Shout out to my guy, Joe. I hope they locate his truck. It's ridiculous out here, man. Another one bites it does. Beautiful truck, too. Shout out to everybody who tuned in, paying attention, rocking with us early, man. Excuse me, I had to take a little parched. But we are here, man. We are here. We in the building. We got a lot of things we're going to talk about outside of that. Got a lot of things going on out here. I mean, you got to pay attention, man. A lot of things going on out here. We all see the presidential race and everything heating up now. Now it look like, Trump got some competition, boy. It look like he's trying to duck her, too. He ducking a good fight. We'll see. But it's going to be good. But like we said, implications of this is going to span out all over everything that we like to do here as car guys and car girls. You know what it is, man. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, if you're not subscribed to the Instagram, make sure you do so. Instagram at GutterballRally, Facebook at GutterballRally, and YouTube at GutterballRally. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share. You already know what it is. We are here. You with me for 2 hours, so we're going to make sure that we know what's going on here. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to talk to everybody. I had a little situation that popped up over the week. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. And we're just going to make sure that, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And I just wanted to see, like, how many people really suffer from this, especially if you're a car guy, car girl, whatever you are. If you love cars and you tuned in with us, I just got a question for y'all. When it comes down to getting work on your car, whether that's performance, whether that's maintenance, or whether something just went wrong, do you truly have a trusty mechanic? Do you really have a trusty mechanic? I had a coworker of mine, and we've been talking about it for a little while. He has a 2006 Silverado, and The other day, parts went on the car. Things happen. It's an older car. Things do happen, right? So he takes he has the car towed to the mechanic. Now, when we go to the mechanic, you thinking, okay, let's just see what it is. Mechanic dissects, isolates, and finds the problem, right? All good, right? So he calls back and said, listen, this is the problem. This is what we got going on. And including parts, is going to be $650 to fix. That is crazy. $650. So now you're like, okay, well, what is it, right? What is it?
Weekly specs.
Apologize.
Auto news for all the listeners.
All right. But so we getting it fixed, right? But he's like, well, what's the problem? So apparently the drums in the rear, the drum brakes needed to be changed, right? Yes, some cars still do have drums. It is what it is, right? So in the midst of all of that, he's like, not only is it going to cost you, you got to pay for the parts and things like that, altogether labor, $650. So what do we do as car guys, car girls, people that love cars? We go right to see if we can find the parts for cheaper, right? And he finds it. Parts came up all together with everything else came up about $250, right? So you figure this dude is making $400 on labor. And you got to say to yourself, man, like, he's like, yeah, well, if I could order it and you could leave it here for days, maybe it'd be but I got to pay this for the parts and this and third. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, like, this is how these mechanics get down, man. Shout to my guy Sales. He's in the building early. You already know what it is. Shout to him. That's how these mechanics get down, man. Yo. And if you know one, if you have a trusted mechanic, drop his name, drop his information in the comments so we can shout him out, man, and actually get people out there to get him business, because you got to say to yourself sometime, like, yo, bro, like $400? What's it going to take, an hour? Let's say if you charge me $100 an hour on labor, still shouldn't be no more than $400. But it's to that point, they got you. You there. What can you say? You at the dealer now. Now the car's there. What is he going to do? He's going to throw the drums back on and give it back to you? He's not. He's going to take all of that stuff, throw it in the truck bed, and give it to you. So it's like, even if you could fix it yourself, you save money. But that's why I ask, and that's the glowing question today, too. Do you have a mechanic you can trust? Do you have a mechanic you can trust? And if you do, you need to put his information down there, because a lot of people don't. But, and what leads you to trust him? Do you trust him because, shout to my guy, Nick, he's tuned in. He will be here next week. Nick will be here. He is the Splash Brothers Car Detailing Company. He will be here explaining to us why we need to detail our car. A lot of people they think they just run their car through a car wash and that's that. Nope. Detailing needs to happen, especially if you have a legend and you're trying to hold on to it. Shout to everybody who's paying attention. Shout to Nick in particular. Thanks for tuning in. You already know what it is. So sometimes you got to start to wonder, and it looks like also he mentioned the a mechanic, Nikki T's Automotive. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Make sure we get all that information out. In the meantime, you got to ask yourself sometime, man, like, how did you come across this mechanic and why do you trust him? Because it seems like sometimes they could just go the other way too. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting thing. You see a lot of people that go through it all the time, and I say to myself, man, a mechanic these days is like having a good babysitter. You know what I'm saying? Shout to my guy Clarence Alexander, tuning in from Jersey. You already know what it is. We appreciate you early. Everybody tuned in early. We appreciate y'all. What made you trust the mechanic? You know what I mean? What made you really, you know what, I could rock with this guy? What, those are the questions you got to ask yourself, man. Like, do they do good work? Have you ever had to bring the car back because it needed work? Did you ever have to talk to him about work he did? He didn't want to refund you if something went wrong. It's like, those are the things that make the most sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to feel like that you putting your best foot forward when you're dealing with me and my auto, especially, man. You know what I mean? So you got to think about that. I just want to know, do you have a good mechanic? And if you do, why do you consider them good? Because at the end of the day, man, you got some guys out here, they will take you to the cleanest with no problem. They be like, oh, well, what you want me to do is what's wrong with your car. You know what I'm saying? I can't fix it. Or better yet, I can fix it, but it's, I can't give no guarantee on a warranty. And then especially when it comes to putting on performance parts, that is a really big key. There's a lot of performance garages that are no more because of the shady work that they have been doing over the years, I've dealt with it. I've dealt with it crazy. I was ready to put my hands on a shady mechanic, trust me. And don't feel bad for him neither, because it was a line. That's the only reason I ain't get to him. I had to take a number. I said, I ain't got time to wait. It was on some McDonald's. I'm going to just go through the drive-thru. You know what I'm saying? But definitely, I know what it feels like to feel like that. You know what, man? This mechanic is just not treating me right. But then you got some mechanics, they be with their mechanics for 20 years. That is what I'm talking about, customer service. There's a reason. And it's not just because the person you know, it has a lot to do with the work that they've done to your car thus far. So that's going to be the question today. We're going to type it down in the bottom, make sure that everybody sees it. Do you have a great mechanic? And if you do, how did he become a great mechanic to you? Got to ask that question. So with that being said, man, shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We got a lot of show for you, man. We appreciate everybody who tuning in, rocking with us. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. We appreciate everybody who tunes in. Oh, man, it's been one heck of a morning this morning. But with that being said, we're going to jump right in. We're definitely going to talk about last week. Last week was definitely a great show. Shout out to everybody who's paying attention. Definitely talked about a lot of different things. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into the show. Before we do that, though, I wanted to send a shout out. Shout out to everybody in the GutterballRally, the community group. If you are not in GutterballRally, the community group, you're playing yourself. This is where we set up a lot of different things. Get to speak about a lot of different things. You know, whether you're into, the pickups, or whether you're into the sports cars, or whether you're into the compact cars, if you're into the motorcycles. Definitely, if you want to look for a funny meme here and there, there's a lot of things going on in that group. Don't forget, you know where to find this, man. GutterballRally, the community. Make sure you put that up down there at the bottom. GutterballRally, the community Facebook group. That is our group. That is where we like to meet. That is where we like to talk a little bit of mess here and there. Before the show, a lot of times after, we have a lot of different things to say. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into the show. Wow. Shout out to my guy, George, man. I ain't seen him in a while. Shout out to my guy, George. He's in the building early. You talking about a CRX lover. Shout to him. Good to see 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 him. With that being said, man, we're going to jump right into the show. We appreciate everybody. Let's get to it.
Weekly specs. Auto news for all the listeners, only on Rally Radio.
All right, you know how we get down, man. First, we're going to jump right into our weekly specs. It has been one heck of a week when it came to the news. But we're going to get into it today, man. It's definitely interesting out here today. Check this out. Now, we all talked about the key car battle. For those that don't know what a key car is, shout to my guy, George, man. Shout to him. Shout to him. Talking about a CRX lover. It's this guy right here, man. This guy right here, man. This guy right here. I'm going to tell you. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. I will say this, right? We talked about this earlier. There was a problem in Massachusetts when it came to key cars. Now, for those that don't know what a key car is a car that's sold in Japan. It's actually smaller than your regular cars, so not too many companies make them. You do have about 3. I believe it's Suzuki, Daihatsu, and Honda had a couple, but there's also these pickup trucks, these small key car pickup trucks, and it looks like Massachusetts was trying to ban you from having a key car in Massachusetts. Reason being is because they're saying that the car was not made in the United States, and because it was not made in the United States, it was not it wasn't made for the roads, so they don't want you driving it there. Now we all know that there's a 25-year import law, meaning that once a car is 25 years old, you can import the car without no problems, without having to really, go through anything crazy because it's 25 years old. Now, there's certain cars that are touching 25 years. We know that they are going to cost. We know that. We know that when they come here, people gonna want more money for them, especially the fact that we're getting into the electrification of sports cars, which is why Ferrari was the understeer last week, if you tuned in, right? So now we got to ask ourselves at this point, why do they want to hold back the key cars? Well, while we asking, it looked like the people in Massachusetts have been uproaring and really protesting this. Now, we all know Massachusetts, aka Boston, is like the hometown for that. You know what I mean? The Boston Tea Party, throwing tea into the water because the tea tax is too damn high. But it's going down. Let's get into it just a little bit. So, states around the country are banning key cards, and the newest battleground is Massachusetts. The organization suspected to be pushing the bans, however, doesn't seem to know who it's messing with, because the state's JDM car owners have organized to get the ban repealed. They've won an important reprieve, though it's just one battle in a wider war over what's allowable on American roads and encroaching private interests in DMVs around the nation. Massachusetts JDM car owners have recently been through the same frustrating experience as owners in states like Rhode Island, Georgia, and Maine. Suzuki carry owner Matt Isgrove recounted to me how owners have been turned away by the state's registry of motor vehicles in the recent months, have been told their cars aren't legal to register. As seen under previous bans, owners are told that cars don't meet the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's federal motor vehicle safety standards, even though their cars are exempt after 25 years. The same exemption, which is crazy, that makes them legal to import in the first place. Now, this is exactly what we're talking about here. They have an agenda that they're trying to push, and they're doing any and everything that they can do to stop you from owning the car that you want to own. Now, let's get into the 25-year-old ban, because I think that's where a 25-year-old exemption for cars that's being imported. Now, if your car is over 25 years old, it was able to be imported. It did not have to have anything necessary for American roads at that time, right? So let's say if you wanted to bring in a 1981 Porsche, right? Now, there was a point where if you wanted to bring a Porsche in from, let's say, Germany, Europe, wherever you was bringing, if you bring it overseas, certain things had to happen before you was able to have that Porsche on the road, i.e., you had to change the bumpers. I've seen, and I've actually seen people go through this process. That's how I know. Shout out to everybody who's tuned there, paying attention. You know how we get down. But they actually had to do so many different things. They had to change bumpers. They had to change, especially bumpers that could take a hit of more than 35 miles an hour. So now the bumpers look crazy. They got the big bumper stops on there, big chrome bumpers on it. They also had to, if the car came with an airbag, and let's say the car that you bringing in remove the steering wheel, you have to find that steering wheel to have that airbag put back on that car. Now, we talking about a point where they having airbag recalls. Do we really even? This is what I'm saying. They're doing any and everything they want to do because they understand that, one, there's a business, there's a growing business in selling cars that are this old. That's one. Two, a lot of people don't want to move into the electrification, as you can see by the sale of the Tesla numbers, the numbers of their sales, the number of Rivian sales. Even Porsche's backing out on the Taycan. They're not backing out on it. They're slowing down production numbers because people are not buying the Taycans. They're not buying the Teslas. They're not buying the Rivians. Tesla just did their earnings share last week, and their earnings dropped 48% because they cannot move the Teslas off of the lots. So, with that being said, what's the next best course of action? And we've been talking about this. This is where the government get involved. They don't stop you from buying it. They just make it like hell for you to buy it. So now what do? They leave it to the states. It's very interesting. And I want people to keep this in mind because you think it doesn't affect you until you get yourself, let's say, even an American muscle car that was made here. They don't want you to have that either. I want people to keep this in mind, man. These laws have been in place for a long time. But now all of a sudden that people want to take advantage of it, they're trying to change it. And I think that's a real bad thing. I think that's where you're starting to run into a lot of different problems. And I think when it comes down to it, this is why owners of these cars and enthusiasts need to get together and do what they've done. Take it to the courts. Show them that you have power. Listen, you want to do this? You want my vote? You're going to change, because these laws are insignificant compared to what they're really trying to do, but it does hurt their grand scheme. And what's their grand scheme? To me, here at Rally Radio, their grand scheme is to have full control over these cars. They can shut them off whenever they want. They can do whatever they want. Listen, you can say that it's not true. I'm telling you, you should see some of the things that's coming out in the cars later on in the 2025s and 2027s, 2032s. There's a reason that they don't want you driving these older cars. So I got to say, shout to all of those JDM car owners in Massachusetts. Let's give them a round of applause one time. Because at the end of the day, that's what I mean about standing up. That's what I mean about standing up. Sometimes you have to stand up. You have to let people know that you're not going to sit there and just take whatever laws that they put in place, i.e. New York, talking about a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit with a camera on you. The minute that you go over it, now we're going to hit you with a $200 ticket, $800 exhaust tickets. And yet and still, I have not seen the community at all. I have not yet seen this community at all stand up, and I think that drives me crazy. I got to just stop the music on that. I'm going to say that again. New York is going through a time where they want to charge you $800 if your exhaust is making more than 95 decibels. Now, if you've been here, you've seen us on Rally Radio, we've done it here. 95 decibels is somebody yelling in the street. If your car is louder than that, they want to hit you with an $800 ticket. And yet and still, we have not seen anybody stand up to this yet. As a matter of fact, when you ask around, because we go to these car shows, we go to these different places. And when we go there, you know what they say all the time? I ask them, there's nothing we could do about it. Well, I tell you what, Massachusetts JDM car owners, they did something about it. They didn't want to have their key cards taken away. You don't want to register my key card. What did they do? They took it to the courts. They got together, they organized, and they took it to the courts. I want to give another shout out to them. Because at the end of the day, we don't do that enough. And we already know that this is a place where democracy rules, right? So if we know that, why are we waiting to enforce our own democracy? These are things that we need to do. Don't forget, you can call up 516-206-0711. We are on air. We are live right now. We had a little issue with our phones earlier. We did actually figure that out. So if you want to call up, don't forget, the number is 516-206-0711. Shout to them for actually standing up for something that they believed in, and now they're getting the results that they want to get. Even though this may be a small victory, it's still a victory. It's still a victory. And you letting them know, listen, we may be car guys. We don't agree with takeovers. We don't agree with all of that other little silly stuff, the sideshows that go on. But at the end of the day, you won't just group us in, and you won't bully us into what you want us to do. Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Let's just get back to this a little bit. I know I'm getting off on the rant. So, it looks like the understanding of a key car is outlined in the July 3rd training document below that a sympathetic RMV employee leaked to David McChristian, another Suzuki carrier owner who was involved in fighting the Texas ban. It gives the impression in three different ways that nobody at the RMV bothered to research key cars before deeming them illegal. First, the partial list includes a Toyota Light Ace van and related Town Ace pickup, neither of which are key class vehicles. Second, the guidelines for identifying vehicles not on the example list can also apply to domestically made abiding cars. Specifically, it calls out vehicles older than 25 years with VINs shorter than 17 characters, which would naturally include pre-1981 domestic cars. Lastly, they have reason to believe that RMV didn't write the list itself. They probably went to somebody else who had this kind of issue, and they wrote it. So now, what does that mean? What are you saying to me, Bearded One? What I'm saying is that when it comes down to it, a lot of these politicians are not even doing the homework on the laws that they are writing to ban autos and different things that they're doing. Instead, they just giving it to the people who have the problem. Here, you write it down and you bring it in. This is a problem because they're not trying to understand the issue whatsoever. And I understand everybody, they're not safe for the road. Can you give me numbers? And this is where they're probably going to win this. Can you give me numbers in the amount of accidents that a key car has been in where people passed away versus cars made after 2020 or even after the 25 years where people have passed away and died? You look at those numbers like that, they're going to say to themselves, well, you know what? We've had more people die in car accidents with cars that were supposed to be regulated for the roads. And these key cars, how many accidents have they really had on the road where people have passed away due to the lack of safety features in that key car? When you get to that, there's no answer for that. And so what data are they basing this on? What are they basing it on? We have cars. Listen, let's talk about the smart car. Does everybody know what the smart car is? Do you remember the smart car? The smart car is a car that's about, I used to call it Voltron's foot. And for those that don't know who Voltron is, I'm definitely showing you how old I am too. But at the end of the day, Voltron's foot is small. You could barely get two people in it. However, you trying to tell me that car is more safe for the road than a key car, which is probably slightly bigger or the same size? So what's the difference? You know what the difference is? We made the key car. We didn't make the key car, excuse me. The key cars are Japanese. We didn't make the key car, and they know people want them. That's the difference. That's the biggest difference. That's the biggest thing that we could think of right now, is that, you know what? We don't want them having them. And this, I don't get it. I don't get it. They just trying to stop you from having the free choice of what you want. And you got to start thinking about this. And this is why I say these elections and things are very, very, very important. If you do not do anything about these things, they will mow over you with no problem whatsoever. They will mow right over you. So you got to keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Shout to everybody who's there paying attention. You know how we get down. We're going to keep this, and they're going to keep this story shelved. We're definitely going to come back to it and pay attention to it, because it looks like the biggest win that they've had thus far is that now they gotta bring it back and review what the law that they was trying to put in place. And I think right there, that's the most beautiful part. You know what I'm saying? They got to make sure that they look into it. So it says right here, the Rhode Island Motor Vehicle is currently reviewing its policies for registration of key trucks. Its website now states all existing unexpired registrations for key trucks and vans will remain active as the RMV works to review and assess industry standards related to key mini trucks and develop an updated policy addressing the registration of these vehicles. So with that being said, they're saying pretty much, you know what? We're going to look into this, and we're going to see what we can put on the car to make them safe. That's what it sounds like to me. Maybe y'all heard something different. But I will say at the end of the day, that's a win. Because you can't force people to buy something that they don't want, because we see what happens. Everybody can say what they want about electric cars. You say what you want. I'm going to say what I want. You know why? Because I'm here on the platform at Rally Radio. Shout to Bars and Hoops Radio. Don't forget to download the app. Now, I can say what I want. You know why? Because at the end of the day, we gotta like the car to drive it. Yeah, you got people who don't care. That's true. You got people who don't care what kind of cars they drive and this, that, and the third. Yes. I do. Especially if I'm paying for it. If you're gonna give it to me, it's a little different story. Oh, you know, we're just gonna give you an electric car. You're like, you know what, man? I give it to my daughter, let her drive it around. But if you're gonna give me something that I want what I want, and you can't force me to buy an electric car and say, well, you know what? This is all we're going to sell you, because now we have a problem. So shout to them, man. Like I said, once again, got to give the JDM car culture in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Got to give them another. I'm telling you, another. They stood up for themselves. They stood up for themselves. They didn't let the politicians bully them. Never forget, the politicians work for you. The politicians work for you. And when they figure that out, they be on a much better streak. They work for you. You are a taxpaying citizen. Don't think, oh, you know, I own a key car, you know, or I own a JDM vehicle, or I own a car with an exhaust, or I own a car with big wheels, and oh, you know what? I don't have. You do. You do. You do. Just because they want to pass these things doesn't mean that you don't got nothing to say about it. So, with that being said, we're going to move right on. Y'all know how we get down here, man. It's the bearded one in the building. Shout out to everybody tuned in, paying attention, Rally Radio. You can find us Saturdays, 12 noon. YouTube, GutterballRally. Facebook, GutterballRally. And don't forget, I know you see it behind me over here. I know it's on the wrong side. Y'all see it. Bars and Hoops Radio. Don't forget, download the app. You know how we get down here, man. But with that being said, we're going to move right on to our next little thing. It looks like the Nissan Silvia is trying to make a comeback. Better one. What is the Nissan Silvia? Well, I know we may have some people who tuned in who are not our regular car people, but we appreciate them nonetheless. Thank you very much for deciding to tune in, even if you tune in for 5 minutes. Now, the Nissan Silvia. What's the Nissan Silvia? Nissan Silvia is what we call our S15, our S14, S13 cars, being Nissan 240SX, Nissan 180SX. And we also have cars that we never got our hands on, the Silvia Ks, the Silvia Qs of earlier models. But we did, however, get some of them, and we called them the 240SX. I believe the last one that they sold here was like a 98. Shout out to my guy, Cedric Melbourne, who actually had one and swapped a beastie engine inside. Shout out to my guy, Shadow Gamer. He's in the building early. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. My man, Shadow Gamer. Shout out to him, man. Just joined the group a little while ago. Don't forget, if you're not in the group, you could join the group. Look for the banner. We're going to make sure we put it down right here. GutterballRally, the community Facebook group. We are in the building early. But let's get back to what we were saying. Shout out to my guy, Shadow Gamer. Said, Nissan boss dreams of Silvia returning as a right-priced sports car. So, the company's vice president of global product strategy said it would be a challenge, but he also said there's a chance. Let's get into this a little bit, because let's be honest here, Nissan is on the skid right now. Shout out to S.I Shawn. Nissan is on the skid. They're not doing so good. They just released their quarterly forecast, and it wasn't good. I don't think they made forecasts. I believe not only them, I believe Toyota made it, but there's some other car companies that are suffering due to the price of alloy, aluminum alloy that they actually use to make engines, use to make wheels, and it looks like the price of that stuff is going up. But nonetheless, Nissan is on the skid. They're getting rid of the GTR because they're going to make it electrified. So this 2024 GTR T-Spec and GTRs are the last of the Mohicans. Henceforth, the title of the show, but we'll get back to that. So, you got the 400Z or Z that's out right now. It doesn't look like it's selling at all. So, I haven't really seen one in a while. So, now it looks like Nissan says, we're going to release a Silvia at the right price. This is very interesting, I think, in my opinion. It says, now we all know the Nissan Silvia in America is called the 240SX. So, it looks like Ivan Espinosa, Nissan's vice president of global product strategy, said that it's his dream to build a new Silvia. He said the sports car would slot above the Nissan Z. Wow. And need to have a good enough power at the right price. So with that being said, everybody who's tuned in, don't forget, drop your name, drop a comment so we can shout you out. I want you to drop a price and a PowerPoint that would make this Nissan Silvia fly like hotcakes. Well, in my opinion, rear-wheel drive sports car, manual, that would have to be, it would have to be a setup. But if they wanted to make, dare I say it, clutchless transmission or whatever, right? Then if they made one like that, yeah, you sell it, but you got to have the manual option. And I think if it's got a slot above the 400Z, but yet still be affordable, we got to start talking. And I know a lot of guys going, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, let me know. 500 horsepower, 45,000, 48,000, dare I say 50,000 with all of the little goodies, the little things that you can have, like, wheels. Let's say they go to another JDM company, they go back to Volk as they did for the Nissan Z. Manual limited slip, obviously. Turbocharged 6, maybe Stay with the same VQ engine as the Nissan 300, Nissan 400Z, but just you give somebody a little bit more options. Let me know in the comments below. What's your thoughts, man? Do y'all really think that one Nissan should bring it back? And if they did, what powertrain should they go with? What number should they have that would make you feel comfortable spending that kind of money on that car? Because I'm going to tell you right now, Nissan come out with a Silvia. Listen, do us all a favor. Charge me $60,000, but put the GTR engine in their manual. That would sell. That would sell. You take that same engine that you was put in the GTR and made it to a rear-wheel drive manual transmission. Yes, I'm buying. And I think I speak for everybody in the JDM world, in the car world in general. If you was to give me a twin turbo 6, made it to a 6-speed manual, rear wheel, I'll tell you, at that point, I don't even care if it's a pretty vehicle. It is what it is. S.I Shawn to be here. If S.I Shawn's here, he'd be like, oh, it got to look like this. Come on. What are you talking about here? Come on. If you put out a 4-door manual with a V8, you should be lining up to buy it. Shout out to everybody who's paying attention. I think we got to think about that. I don't know if Nissan is serious. I don't know if he's just talking to add the mystique to Nissan because they are falling down at the moment. But with the R35 out, it does leave a little bit to the imagination. And not for nothing, for those that do not know, if you've seen Tokyo Drift, if you've seen it, it was the car that Han had that he lent out and was smashed up in that first drift race. So they ended up taking that engine out and put it in that 65 Mustang. But that's neither here nor there. I know I'm getting a little excited. But I would like to see Nissan do this. And I think that Nissan, they missed the boat. They should have did this. They should have never got rid of it. Shout out to my guy, Nick Cavalieri. You already said early. He gave us a couple numbers here. We can go by a little baseline. 400 horsepower, 6-cylinder turbo, rear-wheel drive for about $45,000 to $50,000. That is, okay, I like that. The only thing is that those numbers are the same numbers for the 400Z. 400, 6-cylinder, rear wheel. So if it had to be any of those, I would say bump up the power a little bit and you got yourself a deal. Bump me up about 50 more horsepower. Shout out to my guy Shy. He's in the building early. He said a 240 with a 450 horsepower manual. What's the M3, M4 go for? Boy, we was talking about that because it looked like the M5 the new one's gonna be going for 120,000 hybrid, heavier than a Charger, Challenger, heavier than the X5. Boy, but I think an M3, M4, you know what? But you can't put a Nissan 240 at that price point because I feel like the M3 and M4, although they are heavier cars, they do give you more for your money. They have a lot of other little different things, and they leave a lot on the bone when they can pause. They do leave a lot when it comes to tuning these vehicles. So it's going to be very interesting. I think that when you think about it, I think Nick and Sha is on it. We all seem to be in the same area. 400 to 450 horsepower, 6-cylinder definitely, right? If you put an 8 in it, they put an 8-cylinder in there for like they took out of their Nissan Titan. They killing those pickups. Probably got a couple V8s laying around. That would be nice. That would be great. Shout to Shy. He said that M class is what will be the Challenger of the. Yes, that M class is what the Challenger would be of the 240. It would be the Challenger of the 240. That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. The 240, the M2, I think the 240 has more nostalgia, more heritage. Not racing heritage, but heritage in general, especially when it comes to the JDM class cars. A lot of people definitely, me included, I would definitely at a price point of between 45 and 50,000 for a 6-cylinder turbo, 450 horsepower rear-wheel drive manual. Yes, I would spend the money. Nissan, if you are listening. Nissan, if you are listening, you're thinking about coming out with this Silvia, you're thinking about bringing this Silvia back, these are the specs. 450 horsepower, 6-speed, 6-cylinder turbo. You got yourself a deal. I think I speak for a lot of the different people who are in this car culture, who love JDM cars as well. That right there be great. 50,000, I'd definitely spend it. I would definitely, without blinking. And that's crazy because that's just what cars cost now. But I would spend 50,000 on a Nissan Silvia, or 240 rather, 450, 6-cylinder turbo, rear-wheel drive. Give it to me. I'm buying it. So, just had to let Nissan know that, man. I apologize for me getting so excited. I mean, but when I hear that they're gonna bring back these cars, I just get excited because you know what? These are the cars that are missing, and these are the cars that we can't find anymore that we do need. Listen, not everything needs to be an SUV or a 4-door with 4 cylinders or electric or corny or you don't like driving it or I don't look forward to getting in. Yes, it's what it is. We need cars that keep us alive, man. And we got to make sure that we keep that in mind. Shout out to my guy Shy, he said, and the key car thing has gone out of bounds. Let them live dangerously. Let them live dangerously if they want to. Hell, lap belts only was a standard till like 82. That's a fact. We still have a lot of muscle cars running around here without seat belts. Listen, it is what it is. What can you say? Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We appreciate y'all early. Don't forget, drop your name, drop a comment so we can shout you out. Drop a like. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. But I'm going to tell you, there's something we got to think about here. So, with that being said, man, do you think that there's room in this world for the Nissan Silvia? At what horsepower point? At what price point? And obviously manual. And it's going to come with a little bit of automatic. Shout out to my guy, Jamel Brown. Tuned in early. We appreciate you. Let's go. He says here, I'm looking for a 99 Honda Accord. Where do I look? Okay. So if you're looking for a 99, are you looking for the 4 or the 2? A lot of times that makes a difference. If you're looking for a 4-door, you'll easily be able to find one. I would say definitely classifies. I don't think there's not nothing that you want to buy off a lot. No, they're going to charge you a lot for a lot of silly things. You may be able to find one. Older couple, probably had it for a long time. It's sitting in the driveway for a little while. I would definitely check the marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. You already know a lot of times we win when we go to Facebook Marketplace. And he said, shout out to Jamel. He said, definitely a 4-door. I would definitely look Facebook Marketplace. I will say, though, remember, it's a 99. And it's 2024. So the pickings are going to be real slim as to how good a condition it's going to be. And that you're going to really have to pay attention to who you buying it from. They can say one thing, but they probably beat the hell out of it. Especially if you want one, you want it for the long haul. Even if you want it, it's got to be the family mover. If you want to tune it, definitely. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Jamel Brown. Appreciate you, my guy. Don't forget, Jamel, if you can, man, put your clothing line in the comments so we can shout you out. Got some nice stuff going on right here, man. Don't forget, drop if you still tuned in, drop it in right there so we can shout you out, man. You got some nice clothes coming out right over here, man. It's a good guy, man. But with that being said, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. And I will say this right now. I think that there's room. There we go. Shout out to my guy, Jamel Brown. Check him out, y'all. Fittedforaking.com. Fittedforaking.com. Check him out. Very, very, very classy hats. Love the shirts that he has. He's branching into a whole different thing, whole different vibe that a lot of these clothing companies are not doing right now. If you get a chance, check him out. Fittedforaking.com. Don't forget, check him out. Tell them the Bearded One sent you, man. Check him out. Definitely something great to check out. Shout out to my guy, Jamel Brown. Fittedforaking.com. With that being said, we got a whole host of other things going on here, man. You already know what it is, man. Shout to my guy. No problem. Shout to him. We got some other things going on right here that is actually going crazy. And I mean, when I'm telling you the news is happening, the news is happening. It looks like Honda now is bringing automated clutches to motorcycles in the United States. What does that mean, Bearded One? Listen, how many people want to ride a motorcycle? How many people do ride motorcycles? Hands up, right? A lot of people stay away from motorcycles because they don't understand the shifting part. They don't understand how it works as far, because it is like a manual. And again, they have a hard time selling manual cars. Why? Because people don't want to learn how to make them move. But Honda looks like they're coming out with an automated clutch for motorcycles. And this is very interesting because you're going to start, listen, we've seen the Vespa scooters, and I think that's another problem. We're going to turn the music off for a little minute. I want people to hear this. I remember when I first bought my motorcycle, I bought a Suzuki GSX-R 750, 2005. I remember I rode it. It was like a motorcycle spot. There was a lot of motorcycles in there. And this guy was coming through. And, I was a new rider at the time, whatever. He's coming through. And he's like, oh, man, I want to buy one, but they don't make automatic ones. And I looked at him like, what? Like, bro, you don't want an automatic bike, but you know what? They're not as vested into this thing as we are. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that. To me, you know what? If that's what you want to do, that's you. But as far as I'm concerned, when I get on my motorcycle, I want to be fully involved. And for those, if you think about it, if you ride a motorcycle, you're fully involved with everything you have. You feel what I'm saying? You got your throttle hand, you got your clutch, you got your brake, your left foot, that's your shifter, your right foot. It's like you got to really like think about this. It's like you really involved. You listening, you watching, you're doing a lot of different things. A lot of people can't do that. Can't do it. Shout to Shy. He said NYC shop was Mun Auto down in Flushing. If you ever in Carolina, complete car care downtown Columbia. Let's go. Let's do it. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in. Honda's automated clutch motorcycles. It look like they're coming out here. It says Honda's testing the U.S. market by trialing the technology on two of its most popular naked bikes. Now, when we say naked bikes, we mean cars. We mean bikes with no fairings, exhaust, engine, everything is exposed. Well, automatic motorcycles aren't anything new, but motorcycle with an optional use clutch lever, such as Honda's e-clutch equipped motorcycle, is not simply automatic. So I guess they're talking to me. It says now, these bikes, which have transmissions that can function as both an automatic or manual, depending on the rider's preference, are officially coming to the United States. So, Honda's announced Tuesday that the automated clutch technology is entering the U.S. market for the first time following availability in European and Japanese markets as part of a refresh of the 2024 Honda CB650R family. And at its core, the e-clutch transmission functions as a sort of simulated manual transmission, keeping the shifting and clutch levers of a traditional motorcycle, but making their operations optional. Functionally, motorcycles use the e-clutch technology requires riders to shift the bike from start to stop, but allow for the use of the clutch solely for fun. Whoa. I don't know. Shout to Shy. He says, shout to the Beardo and repping the best team in NYC. Let's go. You already know what it is. Like, I know he's like, yo, chill. This is my throwback Mets joint, man. This is my throwback. You already know what it is. Shout to my guy, Shy. Now, clutchless motorcycles. How do you feel about that? Is that something that you want to do? Has the fact that a motorcycle comes with a clutch slow you down from buying one? That's something we got to think about here, because a lot of people, I'm telling you, the reason they don't have a motorcycle is the first thing they say, ask me every trip, yo, is it tough riding a motorcycle? I don't know if I could do all of that and watch traffic. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But looks like Honda's going to give it a shot. And if you haven't been paying attention to the sport bike world, things are definitely changing. The R1 will soon be gone. Suzuki has a GSX-R 1000 right now, but now they have the 1000R. But now they're coming out with the GSX-8R, which sits a little bit higher, and they can sell a little bit more of them. So it's something to think about, man. These things changing, there's things going on. It is. It's not the same, so you got to stick with it. And it's crazy, but as usual, Honda's trying to be right there in the front market. They're trying to be right there. Mechanically, the system is predictably complicated, using a drive unit, a motor control unit, and 3-part clutch lever shaft. Honda keeps the bike from stalling out by using automatic clutch control parameters, although the action of shifting up and down remains the same. The automated system applies a calculated amount of clutch control in conjunction with the rider's throttle application by taking signals from the ECU, including the engine RPM, throttle angle, gear position, gear shift pedal load, and clutch disengagement and wheel speed. So it takes a lot of things into consideration before it shifts. Don't sound like nothing but a smart torque converter, in my opinion. But it says here, well, when it comes to taking off, we all know that if you don't level your clutch and your throttle, the bike will shut off. However, some people tune down their clutches so that as soon as they release the clutch, the bike moves. People, and then they pick up with the throttle. But it looked like that's kind of what they did. They just took like a cue from what people be doing in the streets. And now it looks like the up and the down with the with your foot, with your shifter remains the same. You're gonna be doing all of that. However, if you're in throttle, it's gonna take all of these things into consideration before it shifts. So, meaning, if I'm holding the throttle, and let's say I'm not really mashing the throttle, I'm just riding at a regular pace, it's not going to shift. But when it feels that you're putting a lot of load, when you're starting to rev and put the RPMs down, it's going to be ready. It's going to shift for you. I think that's kind of what Toyota's doing with their smart transmission that they're supposed to have. This is very interesting to me. However, I don't want one. No, I don't want one. I'm a clear believer in, if you want to learn how to do something, you got to learn how to operate it. There's no way we can sit here and say, hey, you know what, ride an automatic bike instead of a manual one. No, I can't do that. However, though, for those that do, I understand. Go ahead, have your fun. But when you see me booking it on the highway and I go from 5th to 4th, back to 5th, from 4th, 5th, 4th to 3rd, just know I'm having fun and your automatic transmission can't keep up with that. But with that being said, shout out to everybody who they're paying attention. Got a little bit more news for you before we move on. 2025 Ducati Panigale V2 Super Quattro. Whew. Final edition signals another end. Now, for those that ride, for those that got motorcycles, you understand the Ducati is truly the Ferrari of motorcycles. Let me say that again. If you ride, I don't care what you ride. You got a street bike, you got a chopper, you got a cruiser, you got a touring bike. I don't care. When you hear Ducati, you pay attention, and you already know what it is. Because when it comes down to it, they are the quintessential bike. That is what you want. You buy your street bikes, your Japanese street bikes. And, you know, at one point, you just got so much value when you bought a Japanese street bike. When you bought a Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, when you bought these bikes, you just got so much value because the price versus the performance. I mean, like, when I bought my 2006 1000 Suzuki GSXR, the performance was uncanny, man. Like, a Ducati, he get left in the dust till they moved to the Evolution motor, the L motor that they call V-twin, which is putting out a lot more power. And on top of that, it is more balanced in the bike, so it was actually able to swing around a little bit easier. And you already know they have the one side to swing on. Beautiful bike. But it looks like now they're about to close the door. So the motorcycle is going to be the end, and it's the L-cylinder middleweight sport bike, the 2025 Panigale V12 Super Quattro Final Edition. The Italian two-wheeler concern has been revamping its engine catalog, starting by introducing its first ever mass-produced four-cylinder in the 2019 Panigale V4. If you've seen one, you know you've seen one. There's some beautiful bikes. For the send-off, there's special features from front to back, front and rear fenders, shock and swing-arm protectors, chain guard, clutch cover, and silencer are all made from carbon fiber. Carbon fiber. So when you hear that kind of stuff, man, you already know it's not cheap. You hear carbon fiber, you got to tell yourself something. You got to say, this going to cost money.
Give me your fucking money.
You hear carbon fiber, that's what they saying. But I will say it's a beautiful bike. If you don't follow us on Instagram, don't forget that you can. And when you follow us on Instagram, I'm going to put up a couple pictures of this because I want people to actually see this. It's a beautiful bike, and for those who haven't seen it, we're going to make sure that we put it up here. So let's put up our Instagram page one more time. Follow us on Instagram at GutterballRally. You can see what's going on here. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and rocking with us. You already know what it is. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. You already know what it is. Shout to my guy, Dave. Shout to my guy, Dave, on the check-in. You already know what it is. We appreciate you early. We're going to move right along, man. It's been one heck of a show. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, you can call up 516-206-0711. It is going down. I'm going to put the number up there one more time, 516-206-0711. You know where you can find us at. You already appreciate everybody for rocking with us. So with that being said, we're going to stop the music a little bit for all the car people that's tuned in. We got a couple more things going on. Here we go.
It's Tech Talk with Pop the Bearded One and S.I Shawn.
All right, you already know what it is, man. It is time for that Tech Talk, and if you are in the building, you are in the building. So let's get into this a little bit, man, because this is where we live, and I know you see the title up ahead. Let's get right into it. 2025 Corvette ZR1. Now, we talked about this. They put this out a month ago. They said that they're going to have the new Corvette ZR1 come out July 25th. And at first, you know how we feel here at Rally Radio. Yeah, it doesn't come with a full manual, But unlike my other counterpart here, I can understand that if it did not come that way, if it wasn't built that way, doesn't mean that I can't enjoy the drive. We'll see. So, now, these C8 Corvettes, and for those that don't know, all of the Corvettes come with a model number in front, the C1, C2. All of these are the different generations of Corvettes, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, and now the C8, which we do have. So, this C8 ZR1 is quite possibly, first, it's ridiculously powerful. Let's just go there. The Chevy Corvette ZR1 has 1,064 horsepower V8. I watched numerous videos on this car already, and they're already touching 200 miles an hour with the car being wrapped with the black and white tape that they wrap cars with because they don't want people to know what they have. So that's one of the reasons why Chevy has even released this car now, is because they can't keep tuning it and keeping it covered. They got to take that stuff off so that the car works properly. So Chevy said, yo, you know what? Let's just unveil the car. That way it's not a secret. We can take it to the tracks and test it and not have to hide it, because a lot of car companies do that. But 1,064 horsepower. It's a twin turbo flat plane crank V8. Revving out at about 7,500 RPM, which is crazy. When you hear cars that are turbo like that, you don't really, unless the engine is highly tuned, you don't hear them going all the way that high, all the way into the RPMs like that. Shout to my guy Jay. Looks like my guy Jay is in the building. Let's go, man. Shout to my guy Jay, man. Thanks for tuning in. You already know what it is. That Corvette ZR1, man. Let's just get to it. The 2025 ZR1 will be powered by GM's new twin-turbo LT7 V8. It's a 5.5-liter engine twin-turbo, and it has the fundamental architecture of the Z06 LT6, meaning, yeah, they both, the Z06 and this car has a flat plane crank. Maybe a couple things are the same, but that's about it. They didn't seem like they went a little bit different for this car right here. And I got to shout to Chevy. I do, however, wish they could have made it to a manual transmission. I always feel like that. I'm sorry, it is what it is. But because they didn't make the car like that, you're going to have to deal with it. So it looks like they're doing crazy. The single scroll 76 millimeter turbochargers feed the air to produce 1,064 horsepower. Now, I think the best part about this, shout to my guy, Coach K. He's in the building, a.k.a. Coach Kurt. What's going on, my man? Shout to Jay, your boy is back. I'm going to call y'all in a few. That's a fact. Give us a call when you can. So, the thing is, right, when you look at it's twin turbo and it's putting out 1,064 horsepower. So now, we talking about a car that's putting out this much power, no electrification, no electric motors helping. This engine is just that powerful. So, you got to say to yourself, did Chevy outdo themselves? Or is this the last of them? 2025 Corvette ZR1. Is this the last of them? And I think I got to safely say, as we sit here, I don't see nobody else jumping over these kind of power numbers. It's got to be one of the last. It's got to be one of the last. You don't see like a lot of difference in between this car and the Chevy Corvette Z06, but they did change a lot of other things. We're going to get into it. Secondary fuel port injection, which is crazy. So now it's getting more gas. Obviously, it needs more fuel if you're going to be running twin turbos and that much horsepower. So new head castings with redesigned ports and larger combustion chamber. Great. Getting a lot more spark there. Getting a lot of air mixture. The air mixture and everything is redesigned. So therefore, combustion chamber being larger, and with the air is flowing in there better, means it's responding different. New valve train timing. What? I love that. And lift profile optimized for boost. Love it. New piston connecting rod design. That I would have to see. I don't know exactly what they mean. I know that they're making it different, but I would love to see it. Dual ported shroud, ball bearing, mono scroll, 76 millimeter turbos. Intelligent anti-lag engine calibration. Wow. Just those little things alone. You talk about 76 millimeter turbos. Okay, mono scroll. And anti-lag engine calibration. So they've tuned it to what? Misfire? I don't know. I'll be the first to tell you I don't know. But we will find out through the course of all this time. But you got to ask yourself, did Chevy outdo themselves this time around? I think that when it comes down to it, man, they did a fantastic job. Which only remains to be seen the kind of numbers that is putting out. But the videos that I did see, this thing had no problem going over 200 miles an hour. No problem. I mean, no problem. I mean, 200 miles an hour was lickety split. But does that mean, is that everything? No. You figure it's a vet it handles. There's no way you can tell me it doesn't. So it's very interesting, man. Very interesting. I think I speak for a lot of different people. A lot of different car guys and car girls when I say this, though, is that if it came manual, I believe they would sell more. And that's another thing. They haven't gotten into the price. How much is this thing going to cost? Now, we all know with Corvette, you get way more for your money than you would if you buy a Porsche. I mean, I say that. It can chase these cars down, and they don't cost as much. But I think this ZR1 is going to be up there. I think this one is going to be up there. And the reason I think it's going to be up there is because of the things that this car come with and the things that this car can do. Like I said, I watched that video. I was impressed. 200 miles an hour, no problem. And they're going to sell it carbon fiber options, air ducts, the wing, carbon fiber, if that's what you want. Without all of that, without all of the arrows and upgrades, it is good for 215 miles an hour, they say. But with the splitter and with the air ducts and the wing, you get a lot more downforce. So you're a lot more stable when you're at that speed. So I don't know. They definitely do a magnetic ride control, which is managing the ZR1's chassis. They're going to have 20 and 21-inch, 20-inch front and 21-inch rear wheels wrapped in Michelin performance tires. The standard package utilizes the Pilot Sport 4S, which I want for my Type R, by the way. Yes. While the ZTK models will ship with the Pilot Sport Cup 2Rs. The ZTX package also includes stiffer springs, but otherwise preserves the MRC 4.0 setup of the base ZR1. Dry weight. Listen to this. This is where we get interested. The dry weight checks in at 3,670 pounds for the coupe, 3,758 pounds for the convertible. All that carbon fiber pays dividends. That weight is crazy. Shout to my guy Reeps. He's in the building early. You already know what it is. Shout to my guy, man. I know my man Reeps know everything there is to know about this LT series engine that the Corvettes have. And this LT6 and LT7 that they're going to be running. Well, the LT6 is what was the LT6 was in the Corvette Z06 of this year, the C8, and this LT7. Bigger turbo, twin turbo, big turbos, in my opinion. New piston rod setup, we talked about it. Engine lag calibration. I know it's not manual, and for that, it is what it is. But shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is, man. You looking at this thing, you got to say to yourself, is this going to be one of those great cars? It is. It is. I mean, listen to some of the things that they've done. I mean, we're talking about magnetic ride suspension. That right there is expensive. The curb weight, with all of this performance, the weight is only 3,600 pounds. We just talked about how the M5 is knocking down the weight scales at 5,000 pounds. As heavy as an SUV because of those electric batteries that are tied into the car. Telling you, you got to say, listen, I don't know how they did it. And then 3,758 for the convertible hardtop. I give up 150 pounds for a convertible hardtop. Yes, I would. I know y'all looking at bid and one like, what you talking about? Listen, I don't care. I don't care. At the end of the day, convertible hardtop doing 200. Yeah, I take that.
Give me your fucking money.
You feel how you want to feel. It's what it is. But I will say that at the end of the day, man, this car is going. It's definitely going to be over the 100,000 mark. I don't see if this is below $100,000. They are going to sell a ton. I will say it again. If this is under $100,000, they will sell a ton of them. A ton of them. This, to me, if you've seen it and you've seen the pictures of it and you've seen the videos of it, it's been the biggest thing out since sliced bread as of the past couple days ago. The Olympics started and it don't look like nobody was paying attention. Nobody cared. Other than that, this is definitely one of them. So we ask in the title up ahead, is this the last of them? We're going to get into that a little bit when you get to our driver's etiquette. But for now, Chevy Corvette ZR1. Shout the Shadow Game. He said it's gonna be over $150. It has to be. It has to be. That's the only way I can see them even recouping some of the money they spent on the research and development, the R&D on it. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Shout out to my guy Reach. He said I doubt it'll be under 100K. The C7 value is still holding strong at 160. Oh.
Give me your fucking money.
I ain't got no money, man. Listen, man, I'm gonna put my Cash App down there. But in the meantime, I believe that Reaps and Shadow Game is 100% right. I just don't. If it was under 100,000, they're gonna sell 1 million of them. But I'm with them. It's gonna be at least 150. We talking about a lot. Yo, they even come with carbon. Well, not come with. You have to get the carbon option, but carbon fiber wheels. I had to see it when as many videos I watched, videos I watched on this car. I watched the presentation of the car. I just was like, wow, man. Like, Chevy been doing their homework, man. And I get it. And that's what leads me to the question that I'm asking everybody today. Is this the last? The last of them? Is this it? I don't see them coming out with anything else after this. We already talked about how, they have all of these other cars, but, they're getting rid of them. Ducati's getting rid of bikes. Some sport bikes are now out of it. Suzuki, Kawasaki, they still making their bikes strong, but how long can they last if nobody's buying them? I don't know. But I will say this. If you out here looking for a car, And you're like, you know what? I'm going to want the baddest thing out. I remember when the Demon came out and they were, at the end of the day, you're going to get people who into tuning their vehicles and, okay, fine. You could get the lower grade one and you tune it. And then you got some people who are not into that. You got some people, they may not be into tuning. They want something right off the box with a lot of power and they're good with that. And I don't have a problem with that because at the end of the day, that's what your experience is going to be. It is what it is. Like I said, unlike my counterpart that's normally here, it's like at the end of the day, listen, you do what floats your boat. Sit. But you're going to get a lot of people. It's like, you know what? All that performance and all I got to spend is this. Because you got some people that are buying cars like this and they're doing so much work to it. And it's like, if it comes like this. Now, as far as tuning is concerned, I don't know if you're going to be able to tune. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, Zoom for Zoom. He's in the building early. Shout to my man Zoom for Zoom. He said, what's good? Tuning in while on vacay in Jamaica. Oh boy. I gotta give him another clap over that one because we in the basement in the studio. We out here doing what we gotta do. This man is in Jamaica, man. I am 100% happy for you. But I know it's warm out there too, man. Shout out to my guy Zoom for Zoom. But with that being said, you gotta really look at this. You gotta say to yourself, man, a lot of people are just gonna tune. They're not gonna. They don't want to spend all of that money on that. Maybe that's not their goal. Maybe their goal is for it to be the ultimate street ride, not to be a drag car. Maybe they wanted the ultimate street ride, not to be a track car. You never know. And to each his own. Let people do what they do. In the meantime, though, I gotta say to myself, man, when I look at this car, though, like I said, with no problem, 200 miles an hour. And they took it on the straight, obviously. I want to see what the thing could do in the twisties and the turns. This is where you start to see where this is the kind of stuff that separates the men from the boys. Like I said, when you look at the Dodge Demon, and we talked about that, the Dodge Demon, these are the things that, when they came out with it, everybody was like, it is what it is. It's too much power. Yeah. It's never too much. Look at this one. The Dodge Demon at the time came out with 1,025 horsepower for supercharged Hemi V8. 3-liter blower. That's crazy. 945 foot-pounds of torque. Now, this vet here, 1,064, they upped the ante. They upped it. Because Dodge had that title for a little minute. It's one of the most powerful cars, production cars out. You know what? Chevy said we're going to have it, and it's turned into a war ever since. I love it. I love it. I got to say, this is great. This is great for car guys in general. I love it. I love to see it because that means that it's still alive, but for how long? And that's really the question that we're asking. How long? How long is this going to be around like this? How long are they going to keep doing it? You already see they're working on an E-Ray. They actually have it out, an E-Ray. A Corvette E-Ray. It's like, we got to think about that. How long is it going to be out, man? How long is it going to be out? I will say this, though. It is beautiful. But got a lot of things going on here, man. And this is actually crazy. Shout out to my guy, Reach. Said 1,064 on pump gas. I wonder what E80... Right. What is E85 going to do in a car like this? It's crazy. Shout out to Zoom for Zoom. He said 1,000 plus HP ain't going to be effective on that. I tell you what, you ain't lying. This is not the car for that. This is not the car for that. You take that out there, you're going to hit one of them hairpin turns and go flying right off the mountain. Right off the side. But, I guess it's more for those, what's that Texas road we was looking at? Route 66? Just straight through the desert. That is got to be what this is for. Because I'm going to tell you, man, when you start getting up them kind of numbers, and like you said, and shout to Reeves, he said, yo, E85, was it running? They didn't say, like with the Demon, there was a tune that you had to put in, and you could run E85 and get the 1,000 plus horsepower that you was getting, right? They didn't say that when it came to this vet. They didn't say if it was 93 pump gas only. So that's actually a good question. I'm going to actually see if I can research that and find out. Because you're looking at numbers like that. But now the biggest question is, to me, it's like, do I mind the transmission setup? And I'll say it again. If it came like that and they didn't make one that has a manual transmission, it is what it is. If they're going clutchless, it is what it is. I can't be mad at them. This is how they made the car. Now, if there was an option, if they're like, yeah, well, we can make a manual or you can have the clutchless, then you already know which one is probably, to me, which is probably going to sell, which one I'm buying. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Listen, sometimes you got to just look. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth like this. Hey, well, you know, it doesn't have the 6-speed of transmission. Listen, bro, it's 1,000 plus. And, you know, sometimes you got to look at that and say, it is what it is. It is what it is. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is, man. It's the bearded one here. We are in the building. You know where to find us. You know where you can look for us. So with that being said, man, we just got a couple other things we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about this fully loaded BMW M5. Now, for those that don't know, BMW recently released another M5 out to the market. A lot of people were underwhelmed. And I think I'm being nice. I think because they looked at, you know, what is coming. First off, it's a hybrid. A lot of people are not into that, right? It does not have it. To me, it's just not the M5 that everybody thought it was going to be. And the fact that BMW said this is the best that they could do, which is crazy, but I think they could have did better. But it looks like the starting price for the new M5 is going to be $119,500. Wow. $119,500. Shout to Zoom for Zoom. Shout to Zoom for Zoom. Now, I think he had something he had to do. He said he need a new co-host. S.I Shawn keep leaving you riding solo. Hey, it's all right. You know, we got things to do, baby. But I will say, right, for all of that power and for all of that the M5 is, I would definitely be looking at the Corvette ZR1 now. Even if you up it. So you figure the M5 is $120,000. Let's be nice, right? $120,000, right? The Audi RS7 Performance is $127,800. So at this point, if you're going to give me a Chevy Corvette ZR1 twin turbo 8 flat plane crank, we talking carbon fiber fixings. I spend the extra money on the carbon fiber wheels. And I'm getting 1,064 horsepower. To me, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So I got to say, I'm more than impressed with what Corvette is doing. And even though the M5, and we're going to talk about shout to Shadow gave a very good way. He said, let the doctors and lawyers lease it and break it in for you. And now, I would let them lease it, and then I would see them when they leave it in the morning, be like, take care of my car because I'm the next owner. That is hilarious, but I hear you, though. That's a fact. So with the 2025 BMW M5 sedan, we're talking 717 horsepower, 738 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60, 3.4 seconds. Now we're talking about the Chevy Corvette ZR1 at 1,060-something horsepower, 1,064 horsepower. Now, I understand that the M5 does have 2 more seats in the back, so you can't use it for the whole family, but if I can spend that much, do I care? No. So now you got to ask yourself, bro. I'm telling you, Chevy just put themselves in a conversation, and they have pretty much thrown down the gauntlet and said, we ready to fight. I love it. BMW had their time. Now that they want to go hybrid and all these other things they want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, you're going to have the oak tree or carbon fiber silver thread throughout the car, carbon ceramic brakes, all this M-Drive and M-Drive package and all that. But at the end of the day, ZR1 with 1,064, convertible hardtop, carbon fiber rear wing, all the fixings, carbon fiber wheels, Michelin Pilot 4S tires, big brakes. Ain't nothing to talk about right there, bro. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is, man. It's the bearded one. We are in the building. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with us, who's jumping in with us. So with that being said, you know, we got a lot of things we're going to talk about here, but a little bit more we want to talk about. It was something else that popped up along with Porsche, and I wanted to let everybody know. So I believe we touched on it a little bit, but we didn't get a chance to really dive in and really talk about the topic, because this Porsche hybrid, this is very interesting because it will not allow to be tuned. The Porsche hybrid would not allow for anybody to tune it. And we're going to get into that a little bit as well, because I feel like one of the things that we love about our cars is tuning, and then taking all of that stuff away. And we already know that there's a lot of people out there that say the old cars can't be tuned. Remember when the Chevy Corvette C8 came out, they said GM locked up the ECU. Life and felt that it was actually figured that out really quick. Next time you know, they was tuning them. You know what I'm saying? Shout to Ray Reeves. He said, I hope Chevy puts that motor in a Camaro. Exactly. But they did kill the Camaro. They did kill the Camaro. The Camaro is no more. However, if you could buy, and again, I'll say it again. And this is why the Camaro will probably be more sought after, because it's the one that gives you that option you want. And what's that option, Reeves? Manual. The body is lighter, but manual. The Chevy Corvette, I'm telling you, man. Shout to Chevy for making such a beastie engine. But you got to say to yourself, Porsche says you can't tune the hybrid 911 GTS. How long until somebody does? Well, we know the way this turbo is set up for this Porsche, and I believe we touched on it a little bit, but the way that this turbo is set up for Porsche, it's like it works, but it doesn't work how a regular turbo will work, like how it works off exhaust gas. And it seemed like it's working off it's an electric turbo. It's just crazy. This drives me up the wall, but it is what it is. Shout to Reeves. He said, I wouldn't know what to do with 1,064. Shout to Zoom for Zoom. Excuse me. He said, I wouldn't know what to do with 1,064 horsepower. I just feel like Godzilla stomping on people just. Yo, because at the end of the day, I'm starting beef with everybody at the red light. I don't care what you drive. I'm like this. Bro, you don't want that smoke, bro. I'm pulling the Fast and Furious at every light. More than you could afford, pal. C8 ZR1. I'm doing it. I don't care. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. But I'm doing it. It is what it is. So, with that being said, man, you just got to ask yourself. Is that something you want? But the 911, the GTS hybrid system is complex and deeply intertwined with the software, which makes it hard to tinker with. So the 911's hybrid turbocharger uses an extra internal pressure to spin the electric motor and send up to 11 kilowatts worth of energy back into the high voltage battery. The battery not only powers the turbo's electric motor at low RPM, but it also powers the electric motors that sandwich between the engine and the transmission. Here's also an anti-lag system that uses the turbo's little motor to keep the boost up even while off throttle in Sports Plus mode. So that full boost is available at corner exit. That is very interesting. So they're using electricity, like pretty much using electricity and obviously exhaust gas to boost the turbo, but it's like the electricity keeps the turbo going, in other words, like ready to go just in case when you come off the exit is there. So it drastically minimizes lag now. So it's like they don't have any kind of lag. Can you tune that? I guess the matter to be seen, man. You got a lot of Porsche guys, you got a lot of Volkswagen guys. I like to call them the same thing, but they know they take offense to it. But it is what it is. You got a lot of European guys. They figure a lot of these things out. But what are you putting on this thing outside of an exhaust? You got to wonder, man. And I think when you get up this high, it's like, I guess unless you buy it for a point, are you tuning this thing? Are you touching this thing? Or you just go with what it's doing? They getting there, man. When they get into some of these horsepower numbers and the way that they tweak the suspension that they're using now, it's like, do we really want to mess with it and ruin the car? Something to think about, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We appreciate everybody who's tuning in. But with that being said, you know how we get down, man. We are starting to get around to that part of the show, and it is going down. So let's just get to it. Let's do it.
Driver's etiquette. Because sometimes you got to get this off your chest.
Right, driver's etiquette. Because sometimes you got to get that off your chest. Don't I know it? But I will say, today's driver's etiquette is definitely a little different. Not really too different from a lot of the conversations that we've had, over the past couple years as far as driver's etiquette is concerned. But this one is really a very interesting one, to say the least, right? The Corvette, the last of them, the ZR1. Shout out to Jessica Grandy. She's in the building early. Appreciate you, Jessica. You already know what it is. Gotta ask yourself, 2025 Corvette ZR1, is this the last of them? Let's think about, cars that have changed a lot of ways of how things are being done. When you think about a lot of performance cars, obviously the Vet is up there. I don't care what anybody say. It may not have been like as dominant as a lot of people would like to make them to be, but as far as heritage is concerned, we know that the Chevy Corvette has heritage. However, when we say the last of them, there's been a point now, I want to say from about 2006, 7, where cars are coming with a lot of horsepower, especially for where they were. Yeah, the Cadillac CTS-V, the Dodge Hellcat, Dodge Demon. Dodge ran the table with a lot of that. Ford came out with a Mustang with a lot more power as the GT350R, GT500. I mean, you get the new engines, the flat plane crank V8s, and them revving through the moon. And with all of that said and done, some cars have been tossed along to the side. Chevy Camaro no longer be with us after this year. Nissan GTR is done. So when you look at the Corvette ZR1, the 2025 Corvette ZR1, in a place where you would think that America would not have this, they built this thing. Is this the last one? Is this the truly last one? You got to ask yourself, is this it? Is this one of those things that we say, you know what? We got to walk away with it and that's what it's going to be? Or is it going to be more? We don't know. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. The Corvette ZR1, to me, is the last of them. There won't be many more left after this if this is not truly the last. If this is not the last time that we see a car like this, is this the last time that we see a car with this kind of power, with no electrification at all, no assist, no electric motors assisting? No. This is it. To me, this car is it. That is it. I don't think we're going to have anything else after this that's going to be doing this by itself. And if so, it's going to be a car that leaves more to be done to it. Like, shout to Toyota for coming out with the GR Corolla, GR Yaris, Supra. But there's going to be other cars that need a little bit more assistance, not something like this. We're talking 1,064 horsepower. We're talking about something that a lot of people try to achieve and they can't. And they can't. Because it is that expensive. It is that expensive. And not only that, it's not that easy to come by. It's not that easy to work on and get that. It's really not. So you got to think about that. This is where they call it quits. This is after this, will there be any more? And I think, and I'm here just talking as the bearded one. I'm not talking as a car guy and have a whole bunch of backing. And no, it's just us. You see us here. We built everything you see here. Shout to Bars and Hoops Radio. We built everything we have here. But will there be something else like this? And be totally honest, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that when it comes down to it, we've seen it. And this is it. This is it. We don't have any more else that's going to be coming out. Maybe we're going to have, some nostalgic cars that come out with a little bit of power, but nothing like this. And the reason I'm even talking about this, I want you to embrace them. We're going to have to embrace these cars because soon they will be gone. Forever. They will be gone. They won't be around. We won't be able Just go to the car show, see one, wait for it to come out, pick it up. Shout the Shadow Game. He said something that made a lot of sense. He said, let the doctors and lawyers lease it, break it in, and you get it on the secondhand market. Yes, this is how a lot of these things go. As far as these cars being, made over, it's not happening. And that goes for a lot of the cars that we love. Supra will be gone. I know people feel a way about it and it hasn't happened. Listen, it is what it is. They made it though. You ask for it to be manual, they put a manual pedal in it. That's how it is. You got to start thinking about these things. Do we really, appreciate? And that's one thing as car guys that we do suffer from. We like that. The base quarter mile time, and we do that. That's what it is. But I think sometimes some cars, especially at the time period that we're in now, have to look out for that. People are going to use it against us. They're going to say, oh, you know what? Y'all don't buy the car. That's why we don't make it. They're right. A lot of times we don't. We look at the car for what it is, say, you know what? I don't want to spend my money on this. I'd rather get it used this, and there you go. And they stop making the car. So you got to think about that, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We get down. Definitely thanks for everybody for tuning in to the show. You know how it is. We are here. We are in the building. It's just something you got to think about, man. We got to embrace these cars because soon there will be no more. And when we say that, I mean it. Soon there will be no more. No more. No more. Soon there will be no more. Got to think about that. Got to think about that. Soon there will be no more. And you know what? When you look at it like that, you'll find yourself taking more advantage of these cars and of these builds, and really start to take into consideration, like, you know what, man? He's right. I know, because at the end of the day, it could go the other way. Out there, everybody was too. We got a caller. Rally Radio, who we got in the box?
What up, Rally Radio?
Oh, what's going on? Sounds like Shaw. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man?
Let me know if y'all can hear him. Again, I'm listening, Shaw. What's up?
First of all, your topic is your whole conversation right now is really heart-wrenching. really hard on.
I'm sorry.
Heartbreaking and whatnot. But to be honest, dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Right? Part of it is our fault. Right? We didn't make we saw driving as fun.
Right.
Right? We were like, oh, we want to drive. Right? What happens is the generation underneath us, right? They stop seeing driving as fun.
Right.
Right? They don't see driving as fun. And so underneath us, they don't see driving as fun. Some do, right? But underneath them, their kids, they're like, yo, what am I driving for? What do I need a car for?
Facts.
I just call it Uber.
Facts.
Right? We came from the era of, yo, I want a car so I could go wherever I want.
That's
right? We wanted cars. We wanted to drive.
That's true. But
right?
I think where we differ, right, is like we have more of a broad understanding of cars as well. So it's like even if we have a car that doesn't check all the bells and whistles, we know in our heads what we could do to make it what we want. Like we know so much more. And it's like you could tell when they come out with cars like this, the reason why they're putting all of this and packaging it together, because this is what people want. And that's why I say soon it won't be like this, because there won't be a market. We don't do what we're supposed to do. Yeah.
Yep. Because the people who are going to buy that car are not people who are going to buy it as soon. The people who are going to buy it and drive it as is. Yes. That's why they did that. Right? They're like, yo, here's the car that everybody wants. Here you go. Here's the car you dream about. Here you go. Here. It's automatic here. You could just get in it and drive. Here it is. Buy it.
Yep.
Right. That's that. Look at the what is it? The GTR 35. Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's the ultimate Gaza. Here you go. The ultimate GTR. Here you go. 900 horsepower. 700 horsepower. Here.
Yep.
Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatic. Here. Right? For you. Package just for you to drive it. Right? And there's not enough of us.
Getting them. It's
Right?
true.
To make them continue warranting them. We want them. We got them. You know? We're like, yo, I want one so bad. Yo, they been at the super, it's be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They heard us. They are like, yo. So it was like, yo, there's a market. These people are looking for one.
Yes.
Like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it. And what happened? They couldn't move. They couldn't move them. There was enough of us. There was enough of us going, oh, it'd be so ill to have one. It'd be so ill to have one.
Yep.
There wasn't enough of us going, I got one.
Mm-hmm.
Got one.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. Nissan was like, yo, here's a Z. For all y'all anti-Toyota guys, here's a Z. Here you go. What happened?
Nobody.
The internet saw the Z, tore it apart.
Yes.
Tore it apart. They were like, yo, it's just a 350 with just a thing and a better motor. Oh, it ain't no better than the other one. Right? We tore it apart. Same thing with the Supra. And it's like, oh, it's based on a BMW. Boo, 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 boo. We got it. They were giving us what we asked for. And we tore it apart. And what happens when people tore it apart, people said, these guys said it sucks, so I ain't gonna get one.
Right. Shout to Shadow
Right.
Gamer. Check this out, Sha. Shadow Gamer says they priced us out of the market. What do you expect?
That was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's definitely part of what happened. We got priced out of the market because of the bloating of costs. Right?
But here's the thing.
Because
in my opinion, the reason they did that is because they adding more. When we bought these cars, they were the base models. Maybe you got the top model that came with the power windows, right? Right or wrong?
Yep.
And then you turn around now. Now you look at it. They like let's take the 400Z, right? The 400Z, when you can get the model that comes with the Volt wheels on it, suspension already on it. You know, they have all many different things, but they're going to charge you. We know that. The dealerships are going to go after you. Shout to Zumi said they couldn't push the GTRs because they cost over $100K. But what did they give you for that $100,000? Continue on.
Now that's the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm on the phone, man. I'm sorry.
I would say you're 1,000% right. You're 1,000% right, and I want you to stick around. Like, you know, keep when you do get off the phone, keep tuning in because I have a very, very special Legends of Auto today. I went into my garage and I found a couple of the old Super Street magazines, and I came across this S15. I shouldn't have killed it, but I came across this car in particular. And I wanted to talk about it because Nissan said they was thinking about bringing the S50, the Sylvia back.
It's gonna be nice.
Shout to Shadow Game. He said, and the dealers are marking up on top of that. He's right. They are right. There's a lot of things working against us.
Yes. Right. There's a lot of things working against us.
Yes.
Right. But we clamored so hard. Right. But we weren't in the. Right, we saw them getting ready to do it. We still didn't go. I'm putting money together again.
Right.
And we all, and it's just not, and everybody, and it just happened that way. Right, the Super came out. Everybody's like, oh, the Super, yes. The minute somebody was like, oh, but it's based on a BMW.
Right.
70% of people were like, nah, never mind.
Come on, and not for nothing. That engine in particular, that BMW engine is dominating right now. That's a real problem now. Oh, look, it's not a true Toyota.
And that, Right. Some people say, I said that because I didn't care because I was like I wouldn't. It's not my. I'm not a super guy like that.
Right.
Right. So I was like, well, it's a BMW. Right. And I was like, but that it didn't move me. It didn't move my. It wouldn't have moved my needle either way.
Right. Right.
Right. So I was like, well, anyway, it's still a super. Right. They're giving you a super.
It's a fact. They're giving you a super. Shout to my guy, Daryl Gores. He's tuned in early, too. He said, what up, bro? He's right. Continue on, Shy. Excuse me.
Right. And so that, like, us demanding, right, demanding something, and as soon as they give it to us, they go, oh, but it's not right. It hurt. First of all, it hurts. It makes us look stupid. Right? It makes us look bad. Which is why they go, them guys, they want those cars. But they don't really want them. Because we tried to give it to them.
Oh, boy. It's going to be some beef in the group now. Check this out.
Listen.
Shout to Shadow Gaming. He said because that B58 was stress tested by Toyota, that's why it's so good. I mean, either way, whether it was a joint venture or not. I mean, like when you think about it, they gave you like when you really think about that Supra, and that's why I say, look, me and Marlon, resident Toyota guy, shout to him. You know what I mean? We always kind of argue about this, but I say and I say at the end of the day, it's still a good car, though, and it's rear-wheel drive, it's manual, has a nice power plant. How can you go wrong? But it's not a true Toyota, is what they say to me. So it is what it is. Is what it is. Shy, you got any shout-outs you want to give, kid?
Man, shout to Rally Radio.
Let's go.
All the time, every time. Shout to GutterballRally. Shout to everybody in the group. Right? Shout to everybody who could be going to the Dragon Sale.
Right.
So that's, and
tell them get their cards right. He said, where your car at? Remember that Rick Ross? I gotta, that's a sound effect now. That's a sound effect. And we got a couple things planned. We definitely want to take a run down and see what's going on. Definitely don't forget, to post up your what you're doing with your cars and everything. I hear this guy calling you in the background. I guess you gotta go.
Yeah, we gonna fly.
Yo, but I appreciate the call. So does Rally Radio. You already know what it is, man. Shout to Shy for calling in.
Everybody be good, yeah?
Let's go. You already know what it is.
Yeah, peace.
All right, peace.
Later.
Shout to Shy, man. Ooh, it looked like he stirred up some things, man. He stirred up some things. But, at the end of the day, this is kind of like what I'm saying. Like, yo, we're going to get to a point where they're like, forget it. We ain't making it. We can't. Shout to Zoom for Zoom. He said the Mark V should have had manual from jump. I think you know what? Now that I agree with. Shout to Zoom for Zoom. I think it's 1,000% right. And Toyota tried to fix that. They said, yo, all right. They worked to put a manual in there. Toyota, I'm telling you, man, Toyota's down for I'll give it to them. They down for doing what they got to do to get the car to you that they want to get to you. And shout to Reeves. He said B58 is an awesome motor, but 2J still got the crown. I can't knock that the 2J. That's like the LeBron and Jordan debate. Come on, like no, we can't take away what Jordan was, but we can't say that LeBron ain't pushing it further. Listen, I tell you all the time. I'm not gonna get too into sports here because this is about autos, baby. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it too twisted, but that's what I'm saying, Reeps. Like at the end of the day, the 2J is what it is. It is what it was. It was great. It still is great if you can find one, tune, clean, everything. But gotta make room. So a lot of times cats say GOAT. This is the GOAT. It's the GOAT. Man, you know what? I spell GOAT a little different. I don't go with GOAT, meaning the greatest of all time. I go with GOTE, greatest of this era. So we got to make sure that we here we go. The Jordan GOAT conversations is popping up. I'm not getting into it. Shout out to Zoom for Zoom. He said Toyota only put the manual because the X came with one. I mean, because the Z came with one. Excuse me. I'm looking over this thing. It's true. And they saw the response. They saw the response on the Z and they said, yo, we got to do it. And they did it. Shout out to Shadow Game. He said B58 still can't touch what the 2J does. How many 2Js is left? That's a better question. What's the 2J cost? It costs. Listen. The engines of yesteryear can never be replaced. And the reason that they can do what they do is because people spent the time to do them and blow them up and get another one and add a bigger turbo, no bottom end, more fuel. They was able to figure these things out. Can't say that we don't know. We don't know what the B50. I mean, we kind of know what the B58 do. And shout out to Shadow Gamer. He said, I said, how much the 2J cost? He said, a lot. Yes, when you see somebody selling the 2J, they must be on the skid. They need money because not for nothing, man. Nobody, if you have one, you ain't selling it. Shout to Reeves. He said 2J is cheaper than the B58. I mean, I don't know. He said, I mean, that 2J only been out for like 25 years. Right. It's been there. People worked on it. And I mean, they had different renditions. Yeah, the 1J, not saying they're the same, but at the end of the day, they have so many ways to work on this engine. What more? It's like the B16 versus the K series. It's like, okay, the B16 was great when it was. The K series is great. You trying to tell me the K series wouldn't lay out a B series, even though we know the B series laid the way down so that front wheel drive cars could get it done. We know that. Can't take away what they was. But sometimes you got to start looking into the future. And if we don't, we're going to let all of some of these great cars pass us by because we're still looking for yesteryear's engine numbers. It is what it is, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Now we get down, man. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, who rocked with us. You already know what it is. I am up here dolo. However, today is a good day. It was a good show. So with that being said, you know how we get down. We got one more segment for y'all, and I don't want y'all to leave. I was promising my guy Shy. I was telling him because I took a little run around my garage. When I came across this, shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Shout out again. B-Series putting in work now because of K-Series tech. Okay. I could get with that. He said, check your phone. Sent you my new car. Looking into the future. Uh-oh. I'm going to look into this too. Shout out to my guy Parker. He's in the building too early. You already know what it is. We're going to jump right into this next segment. Let me check my phone real quick because I know when Reeves say something like that. But shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We appreciate y'all early, man. Thanks for everybody who's rocking with us at the end of the day. Oh, yeah. My guy, Reeves. See, that's what I'm saying. Reeves know what it is. He know what it is, man. Shout to him. Shout to Shy. He said B-Series, greater than K-Series. But if you're not respecting the numbers that K puts out, got to be careful, right? Listen, in K-Series, man, they respond to turbo different. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. I'm not saying no. Listen, we not going to get into no GOAT conversations because, we'll be here all day. But with that being said, we're going to jump into our next segment. This is going to be a good one. Pay attention, y'all.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
Know what it is, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention, rocking with us right now. So today's legend of auto is harkening back to the days where you seen people build cars, and we used to love checking out the builds. I went into my garage the other day, and I found some of my older car magazines. And I'm telling you, Sport Compact Car, Super Street, Turbo Magazine, Honda Tuner, and I found a lot of different ones. You know what? I came across a car that I just said I have not seen in forever, but I do remember it, and I remember the company that produced this car. So with that being said, we are going to be talking about the Nissan Silvia S15 Signal Auto Silvia S15, the volatile yet versatile Nissan that has many faces but one talented performance. And for those that don't know, this S15 is powered by SR22 DET. In other words, the SR20 stroked out. Yeesh. And it's stroked out with a monster turbo, 560 horsepower. Just to go through some of the things that was on it. Now, for those that don't know, Signal Auto at one point ran the streets in Japan when it came down to aftermarket performance. Their logo, and I live by it to this day, the stage of street. The stage of street. I loved it because they understood that, you know what? When they made builds and they did builds for Signal Auto, everybody remembers Signal Auto's multicolor or purple rather with the gold stripe down R34. One of the baddest R34s you would have seen. But this Signal Auto S15 had the Total camshafts. Remember that? I know I'm going back a little bit. They had the Total side pulley, Total valve guide, Tomei rocker arm stopper. We could get all the way into this thing. Trust oil cooler, clutch Exity, carbon twin plate clutch, transmission trust 6-speed sequential, arc transmission cooler, Tanabe suspension. When's the last time you seen a car with Tanabe suspension? I really cannot tell you. I know that they still coming out with these, but you just don't see guys, spending the money on parts like this anymore. And that's what I'm saying. Like they were building cars like this. Now, to build this S15, this Signal Auto S15, probably range at this time was ranging anywhere between 50 to 120 30,000, and we're not talking about a fully built engine with a Tomei crate motor. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about just to have a swap in there in general. Because remember, we had to get these engine swaps from overseas. We all did it. But I will say, at the end of the day, Nissan Silvia S15, the Signal Auto Silvia S15, even when I see it now, it just brings back a nostalgia of when people really, really spent money on their cars or really tuned their cars and really, made them stand out. The Signal Auto S15 had this burnt orange look to it, which was actually a stock color then, but they added their pizzazz to it, put the stripe down, carbon fiber doors, red. Yo, when is the last time you seen these bride seats in the car? It's like you don't see a lot of these things, man. Shout to them, man. Signal Auto S15 is our legends of auto today. And we all know that they drifted it. They slid it into a wall, fixed it the next week. I'm telling you, this had to be one of the bad ones out there. And I know there's a lot more. Don't forget, follow us on Instagram at GutterballRally. We will be posting a picture of it. So with that being said, until then.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
Shout to Zoom for Zoom. He said that S15 was a classic. I'm telling you, when you start really looking at some of these not older cars, but like, our vintage cars. These cars are the ones that we respected. The R34 Mines, GTR. To come on, we could talk about, there was hosts of them. And the more I started going through the magazines, it's just what they considered a build back then versus what's considered a build now was two different things. You had guys making magazines just because they had a JDM front. Very interesting. And now look where we are. We at the point where they trying to give us everything in the car. And you know what? It's not selling. And that's why I say, we facing some dark days here at the in auto world, man. But I'm gonna start posting some of these, because these cars right here are seldomly talked about and not seen by our youth. And they gotta understand that there was times where we had these cars, man. We were trying to build our cars to be these cars. You know what I'm saying? Shout to Shadow Game. He said, I don't respect all builds. I hear you. Because at the end of the day, it depends on what they're building it for. It's like a lot of people now feel like everything has to have a point. Maybe you just want a street car. And that's why I love Signal Auto, Stage of Street. They built a car that was for the street. It was that R34. Yeah, they did that S15. They drifted it, but it was for the street. That's what they hung their head on. Stage of Street, Signal Auto. Great, man. I'm telling you. Shout out to Zoom for Zoom. Building the cars is different back then. There was a passion for the culture. That's what I'm saying. Maybe that's where the car companies are going wrong. Maybe they think we want all of this stuff in the car. Maybe we don't. Listen, like I said, a lot of dudes would be like, yo, I just get the EX, it's got the power windows and swap the engine, and then now I got an SI. Yeah, people doing stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They knew that you had the SI and you had the EX. The EX had all the power options, functions that the SI had, just did not have the engine. So what would people do? Swap. But it was a build. It was a build. The car game was a lot different then, man. I don't want to sound doom and gloom, man. Shout to Shaw. He said, yeah, you out here preaching doom and gloom. I'm sorry. I apologize, but it is what it is. You know, we got to be honest, you know. Like, shout to Zoom for Zoom. He's right. Building cars is just different back then. There was a passion for the culture. It was. Now it's a money game. It's how much money can, and that's what they see. Oh, you know what? Maybe we give the car this, and this. We'll get all their money and try to kill the aftermarket. And that's what we've seen. So, man, it's definitely different. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We appreciate everybody who rocked with us, everybody who sat here with me, man. Appreciate y'all, man. You already know I'm a car guy through and through. It's just some things I see and I just don't agree with, and I'll call it out. It is what it is, man. Shout out to everybody who's rocking with us. We do have an understeer. However, we don't got enough time. I want y'all to see this for yourselves. And I didn't have the video prepped. I apologize. So we will come back with this understeer next week. I want to shout out everybody who rocked with me today, man. Shout out to my man Zoom for Zoom. You already know what it is. Appreciate you greatly, my guy. Shadow Gamer. Sean Parker. You already know what it is. A.K.A. The Rider. This guy is everywhere. He's all up and down the streets right now. Shout to Shy. Shout to Reeps. Shout to Sales. Shout to my guy Dave, Coach K. Shout to Jessica Grandy for tuning in. We appreciate you. Shout to my guy Daryl, Bree Daly, my man Marley, Juanetta Vargas. You already know what it is. Sereno, my man Palou. Shout to everybody who tuned in, who rocked with us today at Rally Radio. You already know what it is, man. We appreciate everybody who tunes in, who rocks with us. Don't forget, let them know that there's two guys out here that's out here talking about these cars. Yeah, we here live. We rather do the show live than we do it and tape it because I like to get everybody's feedback. We got our phones back. Don't forget you could call up. So with that being said, shout to everybody who came out, who rocked with us, who listened to us, who rocked with us. Shout to my guy Zoom for Zoom again. He tuned in from Jamaica. That means a lot to me. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that greatly. And it's going to be one of those, man. It's a beautiful day outside. Get out there and enjoy it, man. How my man Draco say? Fixing them cars, man. Get outside and start tuning them cars. Shout to my guy, Darth Spalding, too. One of the first to tune in today. My guy. So with that being said, I want to say I appreciate everybody who rocked with us today. We'll be back next week, too. Don't forget, we're going to have my homeboy, Nicholas Cavalier, here next week. He's going to be here running Splash Brothers detailing business. We're going to talk about what it takes to detail a car, where he get his love for detailing a car. Don't forget to tune in. That's going to be next week, 12 noon. You know where to find us. So with that being said, until next week, we are out.
Drop the clutch, hit the gas. Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio. Where the world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to planes. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tunes. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I Shawn, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.